Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jai Girivardhari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yashodananda Jana Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Niranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachar Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jai Gopi Girivardhari Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Jana Jamuna Tira Vanachar Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari 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 Jai Om Vishnupad Paramhans Prabhupada Associate Śrīmad I.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Anant Koti Vaishnav Vrind Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivedanta Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Brajbhumi Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Mayapur Navadvip Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai Shri Shri Gaur Nitai Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Vallabha Ki Jai Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Devi Ki Jai Gaur Premanandi. All goes to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All goes to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All goes to the assembled devotees. All goes to Guru and Gauranga. Om Ajnanatimrandasya Jananjana Shalakaya Chakshurulmiltam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swayam Padantikam Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Dapadakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavam Sha Shri Rupam Sahagrajatam Sahaguna Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadbhutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagna Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitam Tam वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुएव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदम्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गौरतुसे नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कंचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी विश्वानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि गौर भक्तवृंदा। Everybody together loudly. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we are reading from Canto 7, Chapter 8, text number 28. Okay. Tan, repeat after me please. Tan Sneha Vegam Sata Chandra Vartamabhis. Tan Sneha Vegam Sata Chandra Vartamabhi. Tan Sena Vegam Sata Chandra Vartamabhis. Sharantam Achidharam Upari Adho Hari. Charantam Achidharam Upari Adho Hari. Charantam Achidam Upari Adho Hari. Kritvata Hasam Karan Utsvano Bhanam. Kritvataha Hasam Karam Utsno Bhanam. Kritvaha Hasam Karna Utsono Bhanam. Nimili Taksham Jagahi Mahajava. Nimili Takshaham Jagrihi Mahajavaham. Nimili Taksham Jagrihi Mahajavaham. Tam Snena Vegam Sata Chandra Vartamavis. Charanatam Abhidram Upari Adho Hari. Kritvaha Samkriraham Utso Navanaham. Nimili Taksham Jagari Mahajava. Tamsena Vegam Sata Chandra Vartamavihis. Charantam Adigdaram Upari Adho Hari. Kritvataha Samkaraham Uto Vanam. Nimili Takshaham Jagari Mahajava. Prabhus, please. Tam sena vegam sata chandra vartamavish charantam akharidam upari adohari kritvaha samkaram utsovanobhalam Nina vegam sata chandra vatmi charanta muta samputam utsona Tansena vegam satachandra vartamavi charantam maritam upari adohari kritatva samkaram utsavalanam nilila taksham gire mahajavaha. Matajis. Tansena vegam satachandra vartamavi charantam achitram upahai adodhari kritadvahasam karham abdo suvalam nimilitaksham jagre mahajava Tamsena vegam satachandra vartamavi charantam achartam upari adohari kritva samkarna utsonavanaham nimilaksham jagre mahajava Tam him Hiranyakashipu Shena Vegam possessing the speed of a hawk Sat Chandra Vartamabhi by the maneuvers of his sword and his shield which was marked with 100 moon-like spots Charantam moving Achidam without any weak spot Upari Adha up and down Hari the Supreme Personality of Godhead Kritva making Athahasam loud laughter Karam extremely shrilled Utsavana Ulbahanam very fearful due to its great sound. Nimilita, closed. Aksham, eyes. Jagrihi, captured. Mahajava, the greatly powerful Lord. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki, making a loud, thrilling sound of laughter, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan, who is extremely strong and powerful, captured Hiranyakashipu, who was protecting himself with his sword and shield, leaving no gaps open. With the speed of a hawk, Hiranyakashipu moved sometimes in the sky and sometimes on the earth, his eyes closed because of fear of Nrsimhadev's laughter. So I'm going to read the next text. Vishvakashrurantam grahananturam hari vyalo vyatha kritam kalishak satat tvakaham dwari urnam upatyaha dadaraha lilaya nakhari uthahim garur mahavisham. Translation: as a snake captures a mouse of Garuda captures a very venomous snake, Lord Nrsimhadev captured Hiranyakashipu, who could not be pierced even by the thunderbolt of King Indra. As Hiranyakashipu moved his limbs here and there all around, very much afflicted at being captured, Lord Nrsimhadev placed the demon on his lap, supporting him with his thigh, and in the doorway of the assembly hall, the Lord very easily tore the demon to pieces with the nails of his hand. Purport by Prabhupada. Hiranyakashipu has received from Lord Brahma the benediction that he would not die on the land or in the sky. Therefore, to keep the promise of Lord Brahma intact, Nrsimhadev placed Hiranyakashipu's body on his lap, which is neither land or sky. Hiranyakashipu has received the benediction that he would not die either during the day or night. Therefore, to keep this promise of Brahma, the Lord killed Hiranyakashipu in the evening, which is at the end of the day and beginning of the night, but is neither day or night. Hiranyakashipu had taken a benediction from Lord Brahma that he will not die from any weapon or be killed by any person, dead or alive. Therefore, just to keep the words of Lord Brahma, Lord Nrsimhadev pierced Hiranyakashipu's body with his nails, which were not weapons and were neither living nor dead. Indeed, the nails can be called dead, but at the same time they can be said to be alive. To keep intact all of Lord Brahma's benedictions, Lord Nrsimha paradoxically but very easily killed the great demon Hiranyakashipu. Hare Krishna. So far, finally Hiranyakashipu has been killed. So just a brief overview of what we are, so those who haven't been up to date with the class. In this chapter, the Lord slays the king of demons. It starts with Prahlad Maharaj teaching the students, teaching his classmates, his friends who were there. And by his association and by his teaching, all those sons of demons also started becoming devotees. They started, instead of following the instructions of the spiritual master, of the masters who were teaching the material stuff, they started following instruction of Prahlad Maharaj. So the lesson we learn from this is, when we read this, when we listen to this, we always try to find out, try to actually ask yourself, what is we are here to learn? If we don't ask that question, then we're going to just read it and we won't understand this. So the lesson we learn from this is the power of the association of devotees. So what we should do is, we should also lead our life in such a way that we always have association of devotees. This is very important. If you have an association of devotees, then you can make progress very easily. One side they are the teachers, material teachers, and the other side is a 5-year-old child, but he is a pure devotee of Krishna. So this is the power of the devotees. By their mercy, if the devotees wish something, then Krishna fulfills it. This is why it said that bhakti is something that is not generally given by Krishna himself. Bhakti is the most precious thing, but it is not something that Krishna gives it himself. He said he has given this bhakti to his devotees, and the devotees give bhakti to whoever you want. So all you have to be in a receptive mode. Just like when Jagai and Madai they hit Nityananda, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was ready to kill them. And Nityananda said, please don't, because you did not come in this age to actually kill people, as like you did in other ages. But in this age, you have come to save people, to get them out of this material world. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that they are saved already, just because you desired it. So when a devotee desired it, Nityananda is playing the role of a devotee, a spiritual master. He is the Adi Guru, he is the original spiritual master. And he said, when you desire it, when a devotee desires it, then Krishna fulfills it. So this is very powerful, this is very important, that we have to take shelter of pure devotees. Now, this is why we come here. And Srila Prabhupada has very mercifully created this organization where we have many pure devotees who come here, many gurus who come here. So we should take every opportunity to take their association, take their instructions from them. What does association mean? It doesn't mean you just come there, you sit down, you talk. Association means taking instructions. So when they say that when people go to the Dham, a lot of time people say, oh, I'm going to Vrindavan or going to Mayapur. What did you do? Oh, I went there, I went to all the different places. Srila Prabhupada in his purport says, it's just like a cow taking bath in different places, Then going to the Dham means sitting down with the devotees, the sadhus there, and taking instructions from them. This is the most important thing. So if you don't take instructions from them, then it's just like you going and visiting and not getting. You're gonna get some benefit, but the real benefit is by the association and the instructions that you get from the devotees. So this is the first thing we learn from this basically this chapter. The second thing is that Prahlad Maharaj, how old is he? 5 years old, but he is fearless. So this is another quality of a devotee. Why is he fearless? Now Hiranyakashipu was so powerful, and Narad Muni says, apart from 3 personalities, who are those 3? Brahma, Vishnu and Lord Shiva. Everybody was under his control. Even Narad Muni says, I used to come and glorify him. So this is how powerful Hiranyakashipu is. But this 5-year-old son, a 5-year-old child is fearless. Why? Because he has taken shelter of the Lord. So he had completely taken shelter of Lord. So we might ask ourselves, we also are devotees, we have taken shelter of the Lord. Why are we suffering? Right? That was your question? So we have to understand what level of surrender we have. Because Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, according to the level you surrender, that's the level I reciprocate with. Now, how do we understand this? Now, we all know the pastime about Draupadi. Right? Draupadi was a pure devotee. Isn't that right? Whenever she wanted, she would call Krishna and Krishna would come. But when she was being disrobed by Dusasana, as long as she tried to save herself, did Krishna come to help? He did help, because he could not do it, But when she surrendered herself fully and said, Krishna, please protect me, then Krishna took full charge. So our surrender should be just like a little child. When a little kid, we all have seen little kids, we are all little. And when we are little, the mother takes complete care of the child. She feeds him, bathes the child, does everything for the child. Does the child do anything? Only thing he does is cry, and the mother runs to the child to look after that. So similarly, when we surrender ourselves like that little children, like that little kids, then Krishna will protect us like that. So our lack of, or when we feel that Krishna is not looking after ourselves, it's because of not our complete surrender. We think we still can do things. So we have to be more surrendered. We have to have complete faith that Krishna will always protect us. Just like he protected Draupadi, just like he protected Prahlad Maharaj. This is the lessons we have to learn from this. This is what we have to achieve. We have to have this faith. Okay, if Lord Nrsimhadev protected Prahlad Maharaj, he will also protect us. But let us become that surrendered devotee. So that's the next thing. And it tells you many qualities of a devotee. One of the Prahlad Maharaj says to Nrsimhadev, you should be non-envious. You should treat everybody equally. He said the enemy is this ignorance. The ignorance of what? That when we treat other people differently. Now why do we treat people differently? What is the difference? What are the reasons why we treat people differently? Huh? Relationship with the people, gender, isn't that right? Women are weaker sex, men are more strong, am I right? People who are more educated, people who are less educated, Brahmins are treated higher than, isn't that right? So all this mostly things to do with the body. So when you are on the bodily platform, we differentiate people. We treat them differently. But when you are on the spiritual platform and we see everybody is an Atma, everybody is a soul, then how do we treat them? We treat them equally. We treat them, they are all servants of Krishna. We treat them on the spiritual level. So this is the next thing we have to understand. See, these things don't come easily because we have been in this material world for so long. And we have been seeing this, and from day one to the schools we have been to, this is all been implanted in our head. So it's not going to go away easily. But we have to start practicing. We have to see, instead of seeing, it's like, okay, today, let's just do this. Every person I will see, I'll try to remember that he is a spirit soul. Just do like that. Today everyone I see, doesn't matter, it's a living and a plant, tree, everything. I'll see that as a servant of Krishna. And we are all serving Krishna in some way or another. Because there's nothing but Krishna in this all, in his energy. So we have to start seeing everything in there. And then, so this is another thing you have to learn. How to be equipoised. How to actually lead a life, how to see everybody equally, how to see everybody on the spiritual platform rather than on the material platform. Because what is the difference between a Uttam Adhikari and Madhyam Adhikari? What is the difference? Who differentiates? Madhyam Adhikari. Uttam Adhikari sees, now he is the highest level, Uttam Adhikari. And he does not differentiate. He sees everybody as devotee of Krishna except him or her. Right? But a Madhyam Adhikari differentiates. On the preaching level, we have to differentiate. We have to know who is a devotee and who is not a devotee. As I said, one of the things earlier was that we have to associate with devotees. Now, if you don't differentiate, then how do you know who is a devotee and who is not a devotee? Right? But at the same time, you can see they are all children of Krishna. They are all devotees of Krishna, but they are covered. So, it's like some are in deep sleep. Some are in the dreaming stage, they are half asleep. Some are just about to wake, and some are awake like that. So, pure devotee is fully awake. Those who are trying to become devotees is trying to wake up. And those who are pious are going on to the path, are like in a dreaming state, but a lot of people who are in complete ignorance are in deep sleep. So apart from human being, all the other 8 million species of life are mostly in ignorance, they are in deep sleep. So it is us as human beings, which is another thing, we are so fortunate to get this body as a human being. But if you don't take advantage of it, then what is the point? You get guru, the guru wants to initiate you and you don't take advantage of it, right? So we are here, we should take advantage of that, try to make this your last life. As we age, the realization comes much more and more that the body is going, The body is deteriorating. Every day we have a new problem. And one day it's going to come to end. So why don't we take advantage of it so that we don't have to come and go through this again and again? And what is the best way to do it? Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, the Vesafsa, that anybody who preaches this message is very dear to me. And Prabhupada's movement is all about preaching. So to preach, there's a few things you have to do. You have to know the scripture. You have to understand it. You have to read it. You have to realize it. Then you can preach it. And if you can't preach, if you're not good a preacher, then you create an environment where others can come and preach. Do programs, come to the temple. Preaching doesn't mean that you only preach. Coming and listening is also preaching. Because if you listen, then you're going to build your character in a way that others look at it and say, this is a devotee. I want to be like him. Or I want to be like her. She's such a nice person. Sevya is such a nice girl. Everybody likes her in the school. And devotees are like that, You go there anywhere, So this is the next thing. The other thing is that Hiranyakashipu was killed. Even though he tried his best, as it is written here, he took the boon from Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma is one of the highest or personality in this universe. Isn't that right? He's one of the most powerful. Now he is devotee in a way. Hiranyakashipu. When Krishna wanted to kill him, was he able to protect him? So when the Lord wants to do something, nobody else can protect him. Just like when Ravan, he was praying to Lord Shiva. He was a devotee of Lord Shiva and he was saying, please Lord Shiva, save me. And Parvati said to Lord Shiva, your devotee is calling you. Please go and protect him. What did Lord Shiva say? When Ram wants to kill, no one can protect him. So this is the same thing here. So what does it mean? The difference is that Hiranyakashipu tried his best to kill Prahlad Maharaj. Was he successful? No. And why was he not able to kill him? Because he was a devotee of Nrsimhadev, right? He was devotee of Vishnu. He was devotee of Krishna. While Hiranyakashipu, who was so powerful, could not kill a 5-year-old child, but he got killed. So this is another lesson we have to learn, whom to surrender to. Rather than taking shelter of the demigods, rather than taking shelter of other human beings, even other beings, what does this mean? We take shelter of the government, we take shelter of our bosses, isn't that right? They are the ones who are providing. We should take shelter of Krishna. And because if Krishna is there, then nobody can harm us, nobody can do anything to us. So this is the next thing you have to understand from this. And what is this enmity? These people will say, this person is my enemy, that person is my enemy. It's mostly ignorance. What is that ignorance? That I am this body. So everybody associated with my body is my friend. Anybody who is not associated with my body is my enemy. So there are different kinds or different levels of it. First thing is, if something happens, you protect your soul. That's the most important thing. Now people might say, no, we might protect our body. For example, I'll give you an example. Somebody has diabetes and they're gangrene, their leg starts, there's no blood flow, so it starts going bad. Do they hesitate to cut it off? So what is more important? The soul is more important than the body. Then comes the body, you want to protect your body. Then you protect your immediate family members, your wife, your children, your parents and things like that. Then other people around, and then it gradually grows and grows to the nation, then to the human beings. Let's protect all the human beings, let's do some charity work for them. And then finally, what do? let's look after plants, animals, animal lovers and things like that. So it actually expands like that. And when we actually differentiate that and we don't have this knowledge, and when we see everything as equal, that we are all servants of Krishna, all devotees of Krishna, then we don't see any difference in there. So those who are in ignorance, it is our duty to actually preach to them, to help them. Now, how do you help them? So what did Srila Prabhupada said? Prabhupada used to say, one day Srila Prabhupada was there, and I think there were some ants or some kind of insect was there. And one of the Mataji was there, and Prabhupada said, chant to him. Chant to the insect, Chant Hare Krishna to the insect. Why? Because they are all devotees of Krishna. So this is how we see. So when you are chanting, these are things, when you go for a walk, you are going to japa walk and things like that. Chant a little bit loudly. So those who are around us also can hear Krishna's name. These are some little things we can learn from this, and we try to actually practice. So those who are sleeping can wake up. You are coming, you have flowers at home. Pick flowers, offer to Krishna. By offering it to Krishna, they are being used in devotional service. And by doing that, using them in devotional service, then they make progress. No, we should not drink their milk. Isn't that right? A lot of people have things. So, yes, they are not treated nicely, but by you not drinking that milk, will that really make a big difference? But just think that you take the same milk and offer it to Krishna, which one is better? Engaging them in devotional service or you not using them? That's the way I see it. So by using any living entity in Krishna's service, they make spiritual advancement. At least in the next life, they can become devotees. By offering flower of a plant to Krishna, actually they make advancement. They have done some sukriti, then they have association of devotees. Isn't that right? So this is how we should actually lead our lives, so that we can actually help ourselves and help others in Krishna consciousness. And if we take shelter of the devotees, if we take shelter of Krishna, then nothing bad can happen to you. Krishna will always protect you. Hiranyakashipu had tried his best to protect himself. What did he do? He take a boon. What were the boons? That he cannot be killed by any kind of weapons. Right? So protected. He cannot be killed during the day or night. He cannot be killed by any living or dead entity also. So what is left? He tried himself to protect himself in every possible way. But then in the end, he got killed. So this is the lesson. We all gonna be killed. So this is death, right? We are talking about death here. We're thinking, oh, okay, Krishna killed, Nrsimhadev killed Hiranyakashipu. But we are devotees, we won't be killed. But Krishna kills all of us. How does he kill us? In the form of time, Kal. Kal comes in the end where time is over, you have to give up this body. But if we realize that I'm not this body, I'm the spirit soul, does the soul ever die? So if the soul does not die, we never die. But the problem is that we are in this material world. And as long as we are in this material world, we have all these desires. And to fulfill these desires, we have to take multiple bodies. And we take one body and live another body, then get another body. And we have been doing that for millions of lifetimes. And for millions and millions of time we die. And does anybody wants to die? Death is one of the biggest fear. Why is it a fear? Because it's not our natural constitution. We are eternal. We are not supposed to die. And when somebody says everything gonna finish, then that's the scary bit. So we should live our life, we should become devotees so that we can get out of this material world. Then we don't have to die again. We don't have to change this body. So this is very important. This is why, and what is the best way to do it? What did Srila Prabhupada tell us to do this? Srila Prabhupada set up a system very nicely. If you just follow this system without even understanding what you are doing, you will make so much progress. It starts with Mangal Arati. You come for Mangal Arati. A lot of time I see after Mangal Arati people go away and they do their own japa. Now you should stay for the whole program. You should do the Tulsi Puja, right? And I was listening to His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami. He said, those who live at that time, they miss one of the biggest things, because at the end of the Tulsi Puja, what do? We do pranam to the Vaishnavas. And that's one of the most important things. He said, you miss that opportunity. Then you chant together. Then you have darshan of the deities. Take prasadam, you eat, you dance, and a little bit of philosophy. And if you follow this, whether at home or in the temple, then you'll make this progress easily. And it's much easier to do it when you are together with other people, like-minded people. This is why association of devotees is very important. People say, oh, Krishna is everywhere, Krishna is in my heart, I don't need to go to the temple. But what is the main thing about the temple? At the temple you can say the deity form of the Lord. In the mind we have to perceive it, and it's not always clear. But the other most important thing in the temple is you get association of the devotees. There's a lot of things we learn by seeing what other person is doing. People, I think it says 80% of the people are visual. They see things. 20% people who listen and learn to things. Most of the people see things and learn. Majority of them. So when you see somebody is behaving in a way, you come here, you get a first time, a person comes in there, and there's 5 devotees there. They all go and do dandavats. The other person looks at it, what does he do? He also does dandavats. He doesn't know what he's doing. You look at little kids, the parents do dandavats, they do dandavats, Same thing. So they learn and see, and eventually they will understand why they are doing what they are doing. So this is very important, coming to the temple and following this program, listening to Bhagavatam class. This Bhagavatam class is no different from Krishna. Either you listen to it or as I am speaking about it. Both of them are so powerful that it can actually make you a pure devotee. Sukdev Goswami spoke the Bhagavatam and Parikshit Maharaj had it. Both became purified, both became pure. So this is also very, very important that you come here, you listen to the class, people are doing their japa. Japa is your own time. If you're outside, come inside, sit down, listen to the class. It also gives enthusiasm to the person who's speaking, there are more people in here listening, And then we can have more discussion, we can have more questions, that way we can actually clear more doubts. And if you have any question, you should ask. Because it might not be your only question, it might be a question of many other people. A lot of people are hesitant, they don't ask questions. Okay? So we'll finish here. Does anyone has any questions, any comments? Jhulan Yatra is starting tomorrow. This is a very special festival that runs for 5 days. I was talking to one of our senior devotee and he said that Jhulan Yatra, what is the purpose of Jhulan Yatra? In India, it's very hot now, right? And very humid. So when it becomes very hot, they put chandan on, right? Put chandan, camphor, and saffron. They mix it together and they apply it on the body of the Lord. It cools them down. But if there is no wind, and because it's so hot, it dries up very quickly. So when you swing, put some kind of air, just fan a little bit, then it cools your body very nicely. And Prabhupada said that it has to be done in a very gentle way. We shouldn't be pushing like, crazy. Sometimes I see devotees are just like pushing the Lord. It's just like, you go and go on a swing yourself, I don't like to be pushed like that. We have to treat Radha Vallabha, Radha and Krishna in the same way. The idea is to cool them, not to frighten them. Isn't that right? So in India, usually they've got a rope, they pull it gently. The idea is to have a breeze, So keep this in mind. Whatever we are doing to please the Lord. It is not how fast I can push, how far I can make them go. And I had a devotee who was saying that, man, every time I see in Melbourne, especially here, he said, man, I get scared, I just, what are they doing to the deities, Yeah. So keep that in mind. That is something I was listening to him, and I was listening to, there was an article written on what is the purpose of Jhulan Yatra. The purpose of Jhulan Yatra is to please the Lord, gentle, so they can get. And here in Melbourne, unfortunately, when we have Jhulan Yatra, it's already cold, Isn't that right? Pushing them longer, you go when it is winter, you go in the park and there's a swing there, you go for like 2 minutes, man, it's so cold, So we should keep all this in mind when you are doing this, The idea is to please the Lord, think of what they want, how would they prefer like that, Okay, so, yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you for the nice class. Prabhu, you mentioned how when we completely surrender unto the Lord, then only He will come to protect us. Like you gave the example of Draupadi when she was getting disturbed in front of the assembly.
Say that again?
You gave the example of how Draupadi, when only she called out to Krishna, then only Lord Krishna protected her. But Prabhu, we hear in lectures that endeavor is needed to receive mercy, like we see in Damodar Leela, how endeavor and mercy is needed to bind Lord Krishna. So how do we understand this?
So what I was talking about, complete protection, 100%. Just like your parents, when you're a little baby, right? Your parents were looking after and doing everything for you. But as you grow up, you become more independent. Am I right? Your mom doesn't bathe you anymore, right? She doesn't feed you anymore, right? So we start doing things ourselves. But does she still protect you? Does she still provide food for you? Does she still give you shelter and things like that? So depending on how much surrender we have, how much we are dependent on the Lord will reciprocate accordingly. So a baby does it completely. Draupadi in the beginning did not do that, but when she did it completely, then Krishna came and protected. Does that make? Just like when there was no food and Durvasa Muni and those 10,000 of his disciples came, Draupadi had eaten. And then she prayed to Krishna, please Krishna, help me. And then Krishna immediately came and solved the situation. So it's a level of surrender. And that's what we have to have, that the endeavor, our effort. We have to do ourselves whatever we want. Krishna is independent. He can protect you or not protect you. So we can't force Krishna, hey Krishna, I love you, you have to do this for me. No. Love means you do your bit and leave the rest to the beloved. Right? So just like the gopis, when we have a little bit of pride, this is also another thing comes, I'm a devotee, he's not a devotee. What does that mean? We have this pride. Isn't that right? So you have to be humble. Devotee means humility and Trinadapi Sunisena, and the other one is tolerance. These two things are very important. Bhakti's close friend is humility. And if there is no humility, then bhakti leaves. So this is very important. These are the things that we have to build in our life. How do you become humble? It says humble like a blade of grass. What is the quality of a blade of grass? Everyone walks on him. Do they complain? No. But if somebody says to anything to us, why is he saying to me, you know? What does he think of himself? So humility is like that, you have to become humble. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that you tolerate everything. We have to be humble, but at the same time, we love Prabhupada, we love this movement. If anybody says something about Krishna, then we fight for him. Just like Hanuman. Hanuman says that, he was so tolerant. He's a devotee, is minding his own business, But when he went to Lanka, what did he do? He destroyed the whole Lanka, He bent the whole place down. So this is the nature of the devotee. For Krishna, they'll do anything. For themselves, they tolerate anything. So when somebody criticizes you, you should tolerate that. But when somebody criticizes a devotee or Krishna, then you should not tolerate it. That is the thing. So it's very important. On yourself, somebody says anything, just like somebody complains about you, okay, all right, And you try to learn what he is. See, we don't see ourselves. When somebody is saying something, they're seeing something in you. So it's mostly your fault they're seeing in you. And it's the best way, ask your close friends, they are the one, you come here, people come here, oh, you're such a nice devotee, you do this, the first person you ask your wife or you ask your husband, they'll be honest and tell you what is your true nature is, And when they say something, believe it. Because they know you better than, they are like a mirror of yourself, which is, and how else do you know what is inside you? Is what you see in other people. This is the best way to know. If you see faults in people, that means that fault is in you. You only can see in others what you have in you. Does that make sense? So we say this person is not really good, this person is, eats too much, is greedy, is because you are greedy. So just like Srila Prabhupada, initially when he started the movement, there were all kinds of people. What kind of people Prabhupada was dealing with? They were druggists, all But what did Prabhupada saw? He just saw the good qualities in them. And that's why Srila Prabhupada was able to make devotees. So we have to start seeing good qualities in people. I always give the example, don't be like a fly. You know a fly? Little flies. Where do they go and sit? Wherever there is filth. Yeah, If there is a beautiful garden, whole garden is full of roses, beautiful flowers. And there is one fly, where will it go and sit? Will it go and sit on any of the beautiful flowers? No. But there is a whole forest, there is no flowers, nothing there. There is one tree with flowers, and there is a bee. Where does the bee go? So we have to be like a honeybee. We have to see the nectar in people. So once you start building this quality slowly and slowly, right? We start seeing good quality in other people. We try to help people build the nice quality. We try to teach them rather, like that. And then we build that, then Krishna will see that. And then Krishna will help us. And then slowly and slowly in your life, you will see examples of how Krishna is helping you. How you can be more and more dependent on Him. Does that make sense? And the more you see that, the more faith you have built. And then the more faith you have, then eventually you can completely surrender to Him. So when we have these 9 levels of, first one is Shraddha. So Shraddha and Prem is the same thing. Understand? Because Shraddha means faith, right? And Prem is also faith. But the difference is in the level. So just like Shraddha is sugarcane juice, but when you cook it, it becomes molasses, then crystallizes, and finally you get the crystals, right? Which is pure. So that's like prem. But if you look at it, that crystal is also sugar, isn't that right? So the same thing, we have to build this faith. And how do you build that faith? Is by associating with other people and say, oh, that person is, so much faith, I should build that faith. How did he build that faith, So this is very important, You look at our Maharajas, you look at Jayapataka Maharaj, How much faith does he have in Krishna? Just think about it, how much faith he has in Krishna, He's a living example. He's a miracle. He's the biggest miracle, This problem, that problem, yet he travels the world and preaches, He gives 3 classes in a day. We can't even, give 1 in a week, 1 in a month, Isn't that? So when you look at those kind of devotees, then we can have more faith. And we said, okay, if he can do that much, if I can do 1%, we'll all go back to Godhead. Okay? Any other?
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Any other questions? Any comments? We good? Okay, we finish here. Granthra Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai, Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai, Shri Radha Vallabha ki jai, Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Devi ki jai, Gaur Premanandi.
Bhāgavatam samasitam Buddha sundaram